Let me just check the audio levels. Looks good. Alright. Let me just give people a moment. Wait, so, this is day 2 of, WaniKani. Yesterday, where we left off, we just finished doing the first set of lessons. That one our reviews to do since, it's day 1. So today we have 10 new lessons and 15 reviews of yesterday's content to do. So we'll get started on that. Yesterday had some slight audio issues. I've tried to help resolve those a little bit, so I would appreciate some slight feedback if the volume is a little more consistent than last time. Aside from that, let's get started. Also, hi Crazy. I haven't yet decided on the order of lessons compared to reviews yet, so I might vary slightly day to day. Also, I'm not yet too sure how the scheduling exactly works as for like when it decides to let you do new reviews, since this time it seems to have done 10 instead of 15. It's not reviews, lessons. So we'll have to feel that out in the future and maybe adjust the numbers, since only have about like 25 to 30 minutes per day I'm able to spend on this with my current schedule, so we'll have to see. Okay, this radical looks like a cross. I mean, just look at it. 2 bars going through each other that equals a cross. I mean, in my mind, I kind of imagine a cross being more like this shape, like a X shape. This is more like a plus to me, I think. But, we can go with it. But yeah, like a cross, like the other type of cross. Examples, we've got 10. 2, I believe. And then say humbly and early. Is early the same as fast? If so, I believe like the word for fast might be agai, I believe. Yeah. Next one. Vtuber model looks great. Thanks. Thankfully, I was able to find quite a nice customizable one that I personally like. So rather than commissioning a custom one, since my objective with this is more so the expression side rather than like curating a persona, which I also mentioned in the description, I think going for a customizable one was a much more budget-friendly choice, which is also, it still achieves my objective. I tried to go for one which prioritized rigging rather than design per se, though I do like the customization available. You going to commission at some point? Very much so undecided as of now. It would definitely be nice to, and it gives more options for customization, but again, I still want to stay within the general priority of mine, that being like expression. So I think I would mostly be interested in going for better rigging rather than artwork. Okay, let's see. This is a mountain. See the peak in the middle and the small ones on each side? This totally looks like a mountain. Yep, and then they have the illustration with the 3 peaks. When I first saw this one, this is actually the way I remembered it myself. So, like even though the literal meaning of the character is mountain, it's quite nice how visual some of these earlier ones are. Then the examples, mountain, yama, then exit, and both. I don't believe I recognize, well, I recognize them, I just don't really remember the meanings off the top of my head of the readings for these ones, but that's pretty okay. Just skipped a river. This radical already looks like a river. See how the lines represent the flow of a river? There is even a significant bend in the river, so when you see this radical, you should think river. Again, it's like essentially the meaning of the character anyway, since a lot of these earlier ones like quite visual. But yeah, it's like the waves. It's still quite hard to see due to extension. I'm still considering like slightly adjusting my dark mode extension so that the lines show up more nicely. But yeah. It seems like also you can add like notes and synonyms to these. So far I haven't really seen much need to use this feature, but we will see going into the future, potentially for kanji more so than these mnemonics. And river, state, and stream. I don't think I recall any of these readings particularly, but I've definitely seen the river character coming up quite a few times standalone. Next one. Do you see the tree in here? It has branches and then they're English. And then it has the foliage coming down diagonally from it, spread out like a tree would. That's why this radical is a tree. Yeah, I think that's quite a good example again. Most of these day 2 ones look to be much more so focused on the meaning and like nature-based radicals rather than some of yesterday's where it was more like they gave names to ones which were like less of the standalone form and more of like just like a specific way 102 strokes go. Kind of nice for a lot of these fairly familiar, but I believe that quite easy to follow due to being visual. So we got like the, what do you even call this, the log? The main thing, the tree, wood, and then you got the leaves coming out. Well, the examples, tree, of course, key, I believe. Then there's rest and village. Village, I believe, might have been Mura. And then rest. I think it would be familiar. But I can't really think of it right now. Wait, let's go on to last one for this batch. You know these big steel grinders that are used for the frame of big buildings? This is like the end of one of those, and it has a very distinct shape, just like this reticle. These grinders are used in construction, which is why this reticle means construction. The funny thing is, you see these, girders? I have no idea what that means. Put together building just like you have English, just like you're going to use this reticle to put together kanji. I think that's the hardest one today. I've never really seen it described in that way. I'm also just thought of it as like a massive eye shape, but yeah, I can kind of see that, like those like big steel, bar looking things, right? Examples, construction, and then left and sky. Sky is like Sora, I believe. And then left, Miki, I believe. If it wasn't Miki, it was Hidari. Those were like left and right. We got right yesterday. I can recognize which is which from seeing the characters, but the readings are not so great, I would say. Let's see. So this was the cross, right? And then this was like the flowing water in the river. This was the mountain peaks. This was the construction, if I can type. And then this was the tree with the leaves. Go into our other 5 for today. If you look at this reticle in just the right way, you'll notice that it kind of looks like the letters N and I. The I comes from the flippy upstroke, like this part. And then on the right side, what do the letters N and I start spelling? Y, the word 9. I mean, I guess you have like the stem sort of thing here of the N and then like the dip. Because like, you know, when you write it, you sort of write like this part and then here. and then like the eye. Yeah, I can kind of imagine that. I think it's more so in my case that maybe it looks more like a 9 because of how I had originally associated it. I don't think I had a specific visual as to how I think of it, but I think this is quite a good way of remembering it. So we've got 9, Q, I believe. Circle and research. I believe I've seen research before, but I don't really have any idea of, how it would be read. And then circle, that one's definitely new. Be interesting to see when these first show up. Gun. Dang. Yeah, but that definitely looks like a gun. This looks a lot like a gun pointing to the right. You have a handle on the left and a barrel pointing to the right. Imagine it hanging in a case on the wall in a museum. I don't really... The last part's kinda... It's not... Yeah, I don't really think the case is very helpful. I think it's mostly like if it's being held from the side, which is the same as the illustration here. Like with the bottom and then like here, right? The examples, yeah, every and see. See is definitely, umi, I believe. And then every... And yeah, wasn't like nen? Not too sure. I believe when I had originally studied it was one that came up pretty early on, so maybe we'll see that in the next few days. Sun. Since there are no circles in Japanese characters, sometimes rectangles or squares will have to make do. In this case, this big rectangle is the sun. The middle line is the cloud moving across the sky. Picture it, but don't actually look at the sun and burn your eyes. That is a very oval sun. Dang. Like, even the illustration, it's like the whole of this. Yeah. And the cloud. Yeah. Kinda. Yeah, I think it's more so another case of, I'm quite familiar with the character itself, and I can kind of understand where they're coming from, but at the same time, I find it kind of hard to visualize the way they're trying to explain it. But I still think the explanation is quite helpful, and like, especially if you can't actually think of anything yourself. And then we have Sun, of course. Ellie from Elia and 100. Was 100 Yaku? I think it might have been, unless I'm mixing it up. I tend to mix up my numbers quite frequently, so I'm not too confident on that. Like, primarily numbers over 100. So yeah, we'll have to see for that one. Toe. This reticle kind of looks like a toe. See the one with toe coming out the side of it? This also looks like the katakana character to, which sounds like the word to. So whenever you see this character, just think of to. I mean, yeah, you have the illustration here. It's kind of hard to see due to the darkness. We have like the toe right here. I think this might be the rest of the foot, like with the 4 other toes. I mean, it's pretty okay. My katakana is like very weak right now, I feel like. So we'll have to see for that one. And then examples above. Oh yeah, I mixed up above and below yesterday, I believe. Above was like, where was it? I didn't look it up afterwards, but I believe looking back, it might have been. And the other one is like, ita? What was this that? Something along those lines, I think. Yeah, we've got below here. Outside. Soto? Maybe? I think that Silva, based on the way that it's sort of like teaching mnemonics, they might be providing alternative ways to remember kanji that I haven't really considered before, like using the mnemonics to build a story, so it'll be quite interesting to see how that goes. When using WaniKani, I do intend to try and make use of the mnemonic system. I feel like that's a lot of the point of WaniKani itself, but I'm also just interested to try a different way of learning characters. I'll just get a drink one moment. Okay, let's look at the last one. Stick. This is a stick sticking straight up. It even looks like a stick. Yep, that is certainly a stick, if I've ever seen one. And then the examples, pull, voice, and younger brother. I think voice may have been Koa. I'm not too sure. Then I don't really recall the other ones. But I've definitely seen them come up at some point before. Okay, let's go into the quiz. This was the sun with the cloud, right in the middle. This was the 9, like the N and the I. This was the gun that was supposedly on the wall. This was the stick. And then this was the to. I think I recall this one better based on the katakana though. Okay, let's go and do our reviews. So this was the open mouth from yesterday. This was the person with like the very long legs. Then was this the Bob? I think it may have been. Yeah, like on the fishing rod. This was the 7, like when you rotate it. Actually, I'm curious to see if you input 7 like this, will it work? Okay, that's good to know. This was the person flexing. Well, I kind of don't remember how they named it. Like, was it like strong? Or like muscle? Strength? Or is it like let's see what these options are. Wrap up, last answer, manager, item info, sound. I'm assuming the sound later on when they have kanji with readings. I'm not sure if there is a skip function. I really want to come back to this later without like hurting my progress. It's kind of the point though of like messing up because then maybe like you need longer on it. Or is this power? Maybe this was power actually because the person was like flexing that power. Yeah. Okay, that one's a little weaker though. This was the woman with an A for the chromosomes, which I'm surprised I remember to be honest. And then this was the drop of water or liquid. This was the 2 because there are like 2 lines. This was the cooking pot lid. The person walking in to like a building, like leaning forward. This was the ground, like just the 1 line. This is the prison, the cell with the open door. This was the fins on the side of the fish, right? This is the stretched out person, the big person. This was the very steep slide, which I would not want to go down. But yeah, that looks to be everything for today. So tomorrow, we should have some new lessons, I believe, and all of our reviews since all of these items is still quite new. And yeah, that should be everything for today. Slightly shorter stream than yesterday, since yesterday was also the introduction. I think that for this first week, we'll keep the rate of new items to be the same, since this seems to be quite good for timing. As the spaced repetition slowly like builds up over time, so we have more items in total, we might have to cut down very slightly on the amount of daily lessons available, but we will see and play by ear as it comes. So, yeah, that is everything today, and I'll be ending now. So, yeah, bye.